Precisely did all that time in jail, in the feds. He around people that have unbelievable cases where it show how far the feds willing to go. Precisely came home, y'all, and made the first day out, they sent him right back to jail.
Federal agents on the ground in Cordova searching a home owned by the family of rapper Pooh Shiesty. The feds confirmed to Fox 13 they executed a federal search and arrest warrant. Neighbors reporting hearing flashbangs as agents entered the home early this morning.
Williams Jr. produced an AK-style pistol and forced one of the victims to sign a release from the recording contract at gunpoint.
This is a U.S. attorney telling the country what went down inside that studio. And this is what the feds did to the family home days later.
Neighbors reporting hearing flashbangs as agents entered the home early this morning.
Now the son faces life, the daddy walks free, and the streets are asking one ugly question nobody wants to say out loud. Did the dad snitch? Let me back all the way up so this makes sense, because the people in this story matter just as much as what they did. You already know Pooh Shiesty, whose real name is Lontrell Williams Jr., a Memphis rapper who blew up off that Shiesty sound, and he became one of the biggest names to come out of the city in years. Back in 2021, he caught a federal gun case out of Florida, took a plea, and got sentenced to 63 months, which is a little over 5 years. He ended up serving close to 3 of them and came home early in October of 2025 on good behavior.
Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty is no longer in federal custody, according to his attorney. Pooh Shiesty, whose real name is Lontrell Williams, was sentenced to 5 years and 3 months in prison in a Miami federal court back in April of 2022 after he pled guilty to gun and drug charges. His attorney, Bradford Cohen, says he was released yesterday after a combination of time served and good behavior. Cohen also says Pooh Shiesty is looking forward to getting back to the studio and making music again.
But here is the part that matters most for everything coming next, because he did not walk out completely free. He stepped straight into a home detention program in Dallas with strict rules, no new crimes and no guns, and an ankle monitor strapped on him the whole time. Then you got his daddy, Lontrell Williams Sr., the man the streets call mob boss. He is not just somebody's daddy standing in the background, he is right in the middle of this whole thing, as you will see. And on the other side, you got a legend, Gucci Mane, real name Radrick Davis, who runs the new 1017 Records label. Pooh had been signed to Gucci since around 2021, and word was Pooh was not happy with his contract anymore and wanted out. So somebody set up a meeting in Dallas to talk it through like grown men. At least that is what the victims thought they were walking into. Here is how the news first broke it down.
Yes, the saga of Gucci Mane and his rap music rival Pooh Shiesty does continue today. The FBI says now all 9 suspects have been arrested, the most recent in Georgia, and several are in federal court right now in Memphis, Tennessee, to face those kidnapping and robbery charges that could send at least one of them away, if convicted, for a very long time.
That was January 10th, 2026. 3 music industry men flew into Dallas for what they believed was a real sit-down about the contract. They got to the studio a little early, it was still closed, so they grabbed some liquor and waited around like anybody would. What they did not know was that 9 men were already moving into position, and several of them had traveled all the way down from Memphis for this. Once everybody was inside, the feds say the whole thing flipped into what they call a coordinated armed takeover. The victims got split up, and Gucci got walked into the recording room with Pooh's father, and with Big 30, real name Rodney Wright Jr., another Memphis rapper in the crew.
This dates back to January, a music studio here in Dallas. The FBI says Lontrell Williams Jr., the rapper known as Pooh Shiesty, wanted out of his recording contract with Radrick Davis, otherwise known as Gucci Mane, and that he did it by force. The FBI says there were guns involved, theft of Rolex watches and the like, much more than that. The arrests that finally came this week include Lontrell Williams Sr., that's Lontrell Williams' father, and another rapper, Rodney Wright Jr., named Big 30. His attorney is speaking out today.
Pooh allegedly pulled out paperwork releasing him from the contract and told Gucci to sign it. When Gucci said no, things got tense fast, and that is when the gun came out. So, Gucci signs under the gun, scared for his life. Then it gets even more detailed, because Pooh allegedly hands the signed paper to his father to check it, and the father looks it over and says it needs a date on it. So Pooh makes Gucci go back and add the date too. And Big 30 pulled out a phone and recorded Gucci saying out loud that he was releasing Pooh from the deal, so they would have it on video.
While all that was happening in one room, the rest of the crew was robbing everybody else. They took Rolex watches, jewelry, cash, a Louis Vuitton bag, even a chain with 1017 on it. And Gucci personally lost his wedding ring, his watch, and his earrings. And it did not stay calm either. Big 30 allegedly used his own body to block the studio door so nobody could run out. The whole takeover ran for about an hour, and then the crew slipped out, and the next day, several of them caught a Greyhound bus back to Memphis like nothing happened.
Yes, the saga of Gucci Mane and his rap music rival Pooh Shiesty does continue today. The FBI says now all 9 suspects have been arrested, the most recent in Georgia, and several are in federal court right now in Memphis, Tennessee, to face those kidnapping and robbery charges that could send at least one of them away, if convicted, for a very long time. This dates back to January. A music studio here in Dallas, the FBI says Lontrell Williams Jr., the rapper known as Pooh Shiesty, wanted out of his recording contract with Radrick Davis, otherwise known as Gucci Mane, and that he did it by force. The FBI says there were guns involved, theft of Rolex watches and the like, much more than that.
But the wildest detail of all is the one that comes back to haunt him. Pooh did this entire thing with that court-ordered ankle monitor still on his leg, the same monitor that quietly wrote down exactly where he was the whole time. And once the feds started pulling on that one thread, the whole thing came apart. So how do you build a federal case against 9 people for something that happened behind closed doors in a studio? The answer is that Pooh basically built it for him. Start with that electronic monitoring data, because the electronic monitoring data placed him at the exact studio location on the day of the takeover, which by itself broke the rules of his home detention. From there, the feds stacked it up piece by piece. They pulled cell phone records and license plate reader data that showed the crew rolling together from Memphis to Dallas. They found rental car records tying the father to the vehicle the group used. They grabbed surveillance footage from the studio, from a nearby office supply store, and from the hotel where the crew stayed afterward.
I mean, I do feel like if it had no truth to it, that Gucci would have debunked it more forcefully. I'm not saying that he necessarily took the ring from him, but it does seem like, Gucci Mane very much had plans on Pooh Shiesty being, his artist and continuing to work with him. When he got out of prison, he posted up a photo of him and was real excited about it. And I mean, we haven't necessarily seen that that Yo Gotti's like embracing Pooh Shiesty on the level of him really being a CMG artist, but it just seems like if there was no truth to this rumor, somebody would have said something. So it definitely, from my perspective, feels like this is probably largely true, but I don't know.
Really?
Can you make somebody sign over your recording contract under duress in a studio?
They lifted fingerprints that matched 2 of the defendants, and then, just like that, a few of these men hopped on social media within hours and started flexing what looked like the stolen jewelry for the whole internet to screenshot. So on the 1st of April, 2026, the feds came to collect. They hit the family home out in Cordova, a Memphis suburb, early in the morning, and the neighbors woke up to chaos. And here's a detail that matters later, because that home is put in the name of Lontrell Williams, the name shared by both the father and the son. Pooh himself was not there. He got arrested separately down in Dallas, but the father got picked up at the Cordova home during the raid. In total, 9 men were charged, 8 of them locked up that day across Dallas, Memphis, and Nashville, with one still on the run at first. And these are not small charges. We are talking about a federal conspiracy to commit kidnapping along with robbery counts. And if they go down for it, every single one of them is looking at up to life in prison. The U.S. attorney said it plain at the press conference, and he made sure everybody understood the father was not just some bystander standing around.
The victims in this case came to Dallas to conduct legitimate business, and they were met with firearms and violence as alleged in the charging document. This case should serve as a warning to others who believe that using violence and intimidation tactics to rob others in our community is a viable way to conduct business. I'm here to say that it is not, and that if you choose to do this, we will, together with our law enforcement partners here and the other ones in the Northern District of Texas, will bring you swiftly to justice. This week, 9 individuals, including well-known musical artists, kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint numerous victims at a music studio in Dallas, Texas. 8 of the 9 were arrested yesterday in Dallas, Memphis, and Nashville. These individuals who are charged and arrested include Lontrell Williams Jr., also known as Pooh Shiesty, Lontrell Williams Sr., Rodney Wright Jr., also known as Big 30. The complaint alleges that on January 10th of this year, 3 music industry professionals traveled to Dallas for a scheduled business meeting. Lontrell Williams Jr. arranged this meeting purportedly to discuss the terms of his recording contract with one of the victims. As alleged, once these 3 men were inside the recording studio, Williams Jr. and 8 co-conspirators, several of whom traveled from Memphis, Tennessee, executed a coordinated armed takeover. As alleged, Williams Jr. produced an AK-style pistol and forced one of the victims to sign a release from the recording contract at gunpoint. The remaining conspirators displayed firearms and robbed the other victims of Rolex watches, jewelry, cash, and other high-value items. One of the victims was actually choked by one of the defendants to the point of near unconsciousness.
The Hood took this hard because Pooh had a real shot at a fresh start. Woody, who has been through that federal system himself, went off about it. Now here's where the story takes its real turn. As the 2 of them sat in custody as co-defendants, 100 called into DJ Academic's live stream and dropped a bomb on the whole family. He claimed he had paperwork and that the paperwork proved Pooh's father had been working with the government for years.
2009, he got a 5K1. He's a rat. Straight up, we got the documentation.
What was that over?
For the people who don't speak that language, a 5K1 is a deal where you give the government information or testimony and they cut you a lighter sentence in return. In the streets, that's the worst word you can wear. Whack 100 said the daddy had been wearing it since 2009, and he didn't stop there. He said the son had been doing the same thing since his own 2022 case.
Whack also broke down why this new case is so bad, and his points were sharp. He said Pooh basically repeated the same mistakes that sent him away the first time, all while still legally in custody.
And he did this while he was still legally in custody.
Right, because he had an ankle monitor on. In fact, right before the robbery, he called his PO and she said, "You are not allowed out on rec time, get back home." And instead of going back home, oh, you know that part? That's the paperwork.
Also, he didn't have clearance to go.
He didn't have clearance. He called her and she said, "No, you do not have outside time, go back to your home location." And instead of doing that, he did this.
But before you take any of that as gospel, you have to know that Pooh's side has fought this snitch label hard for years. His longtime lawyer, Bradford Cohn, has called the cooperation claims 100% fake news and said flat out that Pooh Shiesty gave up no one and never cooperated with the government. Pooh himself posted his own paperwork online and said he stands on Omerta, that old code of silence. And plenty of people online called the whole thing cap, asking the obvious question: if this family has been snitching all this time, why did the feds just raid them and lock them all up? So the bombshell was out there, but the question everybody really wanted answered was about the daddy and what he might do now that he was staring down the rest of his life. Let me lay out why people really believe this could happen, because this is not just internet noise. Start with the bond situation, because the look of it is rough. After the arrests, the father fought for his release, and in late May of 2026, a federal judge denied the government's push to keep him locked up and let him out pending trial. Meanwhile, his son, the man the feds call the ringleader, stayed sitting in a cell. Now, to be fair, there are normal reasons for that gap. The father is around 50 years old, he was not the one accused of holding the gun, and he has roots in Memphis, while Pooh was the alleged leader who caught a brand new case while already on federal supervision. Different co-defendants get different bond outcomes all the time, and on its own that proves nothing. But you already know how the streets read it. A father walks while the son sits, and the talk starts. Wack poured gas on all that talk with two more claims. The first is that the father did not even wait to get to a courtroom before he started running his mouth.
I wouldn't be surprised. The dad is already telling on himself. Did you see those statements? He got in the back of the squad car.
And said what?
And started telling the feds, y'all knew y'all was coming. You know, my inside people told me y'all was already on us. So I kind of expected y'all. I knew this was coming. So when he went for his bail hearing, they used that against him. Yeah, you know the exposers keep all the paperwork.
Wow.
They used that against him and said, well, this guy has access.
According to Wack, those squad car words got used against the father at his own bond hearing. And then Wack said the part that really lit the internet on fire. The prediction that the daddy is about to do the one thing you never do and turn on his own blood.
So the dad was kind of like leery that his son would stop fucking with him. Now, it was crazy. I bet his dad probably wished. And I ain't counting his dad out. His dad may pull a, what's that dude? K-Sue or whatever, remember?
K-Sue's dad?
Yeah, this might be K-Sue dad part 2.
Yeah, it might be.
This dude be 50 years old in December.
Now hold that thought, because that name K-Sue is the whole reason this prediction hits so hard. And that is our deeper story here.
K-Sue was a young rapper out of Jacksonville, Florida, and he ended up facing a murder case. And in one of the most painful things the rap world has watched in recent memory, K-Sue's own father testified against him in that trial. His own daddy took the stand and helped the state. So when Wax says this might be K-Sue's dad part 2, every fan who followed that case feels exactly what he means, because they already saw a father choose his own freedom over his son in open court. That is the nightmare picture everybody is now holding up next to Pooh's situation, a real case where the blood between a father and son broke under the weight of a long sentence. And the reason that comparison sticks is simple math. The father is about to turn 50, and a 20 or 30-year sentence at that age is basically a death sentence. When a man is looking at dying behind bars, the people closest to the situation start to wonder how much loyalty is really left. Wack even claimed that on a personal level, the relationship between the father and son had already gotten cold before any of this, with the son pulling away. Now here is the twist that makes the whole snitch conversation almost funny. The same crowd accusing this family of telling has spent weeks accusing the victim, Gucci Mane, of the exact same thing for simply reporting that he got robbed at gunpoint.
I pulled their ass over the chick. And it sound like Gucci cooperated. It sound like the victim. Gucci was a victim and gave his testimony.
And that is wild, because Gucci built his whole name on the opposite. There is footage of him from 20 years ago saying it as plain as you can say it.
I'm gonna tell you like straight up, like, you can research this on Gucci or whatever, but like, I ain't never snitched on nobody. A lot of people come to me with that in my whole life since I was a little boy. You know what I'm saying? When I forget a lot of those self-tags say, I have never snitched on nobody. I never wrote a statement on one, and I never will. That's how I feel. I'm a true G. I never snitch on a nigga.
This robbery beef between these two is not even new, by the way. Years back, there were already rumors that Pooh took Gucci's wedding ring, and people who follow Memphis closely always said there was something to it.
Well, there was the rumor that Pooh Shiesty robbed Gucci Mane for his wedding ring.
Yeah.
And I remember Gucci actually posted like a picture on IG showing his ring, and
Even
people are
Charleston
saying that it was
White,
just a
who
false
jokes
rumor, but
about
you
everything,
claimed
looked at
that
this one and
multiple
saw how
insiders
heavy it
told
really
you
is
it was
for the
true.
older man.
Town to think, boy, if it's any other town and think about telling, this is it right here. You talking about the kind of, you federal charges for federal kidnapping? Oh my goodness, up to a life sentence? Oh man, whoever these
So let me leave you with where this really stands, honestly. As of right now, nobody has proven that Pooh's father has flipped on his son in this case. He has pleaded not guilty right alongside everybody else. The snitch paperwork is still just Whack 100's word and his documents, and the case is set for trial in February of 2027. But the pieces are all sitting there on the table. A father out on bond, a son facing life, a man turning 50 who knows what a long number means, and a real case in K-Sue where a daddy already did exactly this. So watch this one close, because if that prediction ever comes true, you are going to remember you heard the whole setup right here first. Tell me in the comments, you think Mob Boss holds the line for his son, or you think he saves himself? Click on one of the cards on your screen and I will see you on the next one.